It's time for another episode of Left Hand Poetry. I'm your host and poet, Rob Murray. This week on the podcast is another entry from Stand Right, Walk Left, and it's called Existential Chemistry. A quick note on existential chemistry. It's not a poem so much as it is a meditation or an essay. And frankly, it's weird. And I thought to include it as students have already headed back to campus or are getting back to campus to start their fall semesters of college. And with all of the craziness that they might be facing, I thought a little weird, dark humor might be just the thing. So here it is, Existential Chemistry. Existential Chemistry. The torture was rapidly becoming intolerable. His strength was breaking down. Before too long, his will would be gone and his soul would be among the damned. He felt himself drifting off to sleep. He was in chemistry, a life sentence, with no parole, or at least it felt like it. The oppressiveness bore down upon him, driving him into a stupor. The poor attempts at humor were like knives digging into the skull, complete with the grinding noise one would expect from metal on bone. Or was that the instructor's voice? He no longer knew. Color faded into sound, and sound became smell. He could taste what he felt, and it was a bitter taste. The bitter taste of apathy, mixed with the rotten smell of old things kept long past their worth. Perception became subjective, and the subject was chemistry. He sighed. The word entropy was uttered. His boggled senses locked onto the word, tasting, touching, and smelling it. They knew that this was their guiding principle, that the senses no longer obeyed any laws of order. Disorder, chaos, random sensations processed by random thought. Paradox, sleeping while awake, loving while hating, wanting while repulsed, coveting while rejecting. The torture wore at his soul and became a threat to existence. If this madness continued, existence in the normal plane would no longer be possible. He would go insane and mentally combust, his mind forever trapped in paradox. In chemistry class, paradox spread. The senses realigned, though they did this from sheer boredom rather than any significant change. They quickly remembered why they had chosen to hallucinate in the first place. But by now, apathy had set in, and sensation became dulled. No longer caring, shutdown was imminent. He was asleep, in chemistry class. He had a dream. There was a morning, and he wasn't in chemistry class. He slept in, and was joyous, for all was as it should be. But these were all dreams, for he awoke into the existence that did not follow linear time, that seemed to exist always and yet never. His watch ran sideways, in chemistry class. Time kept slipping into the future. An angel showed him the way out, as another kept him sane throughout the ordeal. He would make it. It was time. The ordeal would soon be over. The ordeal of chemistry class. Again, that was Existential Chemistry from Stand Right, Walk Left. If you enjoyed this poem, then be sure to visit my website, robertcmurray.com, and scroll down a bit past the information about my science fiction novel. There, you'll find this podcast and links to purchase any or all 3 of my poetry books. Also, please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Thank you. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at LeftHandRob. I'm also on Facebook, facebook.com/Robert C. Murray Poet. And before I sign off, I'll once again say that all Black lives matter. And please visit my blog, lefthandrob.net, where you'll find links to donate to help support a variety of racial and social justice causes. And that's it for this edition. I'll see you next time for another installment of Left Hand Poetry.